Welcome to Acts of Kindness Stories. In a quiet operating room at one of New York's top private hospitals, the steady beeping of the heart monitor marked every precious moment. Dr. Jason Carter, a respected surgeon known for his dedication and compassion, focused intently on the delivery of Samantha Harris, a young woman whose determination shone even through her exhaustion. As the medical team worked in synchronized urgency, an inexplicable chill filled the air. Just as hope seemed to hang by a thread, something occurred that defied every expectation. A newborn, barely having taken its first breath, uttered a single haunting phrase that left Dr. Carter momentarily speechless. In that brief, electrifying instant, every heartbeat, every whispered reassurance, and every silent prayer in the room was transformed into a powerful call for truth and accountability. This is not merely a tale of eerie coincidences or supernatural moments. It is a story of personal responsibility, the weight of hidden pasts, and the redemptive power of coming clean. As the mystery of that first word rippled through the hospital corridors, it set in motion a journey that would force every member of the team to confront the consequences of their choices and the profound impact they have on lives. Stay with us as we unravel this extraordinary narrative, a story that challenges us to consider the importance of integrity, the healing power of truth, and how acts of kindness can emerge even in the most unexpected circumstances. In the tense atmosphere of the operating room at one of New York's most respected private hospitals, every beep of the monitor and every hushed instruction carried a weight that none present could ignore. Dr. Jason Carter, a seasoned surgeon with years of experience and an unwavering commitment to saving lives, was performing an emergency procedure on Samantha Harris, a young mother whose eyes held both fear and fierce determination. As the medical team worked in near-perfect synchrony, the sterile environment was suddenly disrupted by an inexplicable chill that seemed to permeate every corner of the room. The situation had already reached a critical juncture. Samantha's strength was fading, and the baby's heart rate was dropping dangerously low. Nurse Brooke Lewis's gentle reassurances mingled with the urgent commands from Dr. Carter. "Push a little harder," he urged, his voice a blend of calm authority and underlying desperation. In those fleeting moments, as the team scrambled to stabilize the situation, something beyond the ordinary unfolded. When the newborn was finally delivered, silence fell, not the expected wail of a new life, but an eerie quiet that blanketed the room. The infant's eyes, far too deep and knowing for one so newly born, met Dr. Carter's gaze. In a voice that resonated with an unsettling gravity, the baby spoke. "You killed me once, this time you won't escape." For a heartbeat, time itself seemed to freeze. Nurse Claire, barely out of her first year on the job, dropped her tray in shock, while others in the room struggled to comprehend what had just occurred. The unusual eyes of the newborn, paired with that chilling statement, ignited a series of events that would forever alter the lives of everyone at the hospital. The baby, later identified as Matthew, remained unnervingly still in its crib, a silent sentinel whose presence soon became synonymous with the unexplainable happenings in the corridors. In the hours and days that followed, whispers and inexplicable phenomena began to seep into everyday life at the hospital. In the neonatal care unit, where Matthew was closely monitored, staff reported unsettling chills whenever they entered the room. One nurse, Isabel Martin, recalled hearing a deep, rasping voice, too mature for a newborn, echo in her ear as she checked on him. Another night, Nurse Ryan, while reviewing security footage, described seeing a small, fleeting shadow darting along the corridor, only to vanish when he turned to look. These accounts, initially dismissed as tricks of the light or the product of overactive imaginations, slowly accumulated into a disturbing pattern that no one could ignore. Dr. Carter, despite his reputation as a pillar of competence, soon found himself haunted by a relentless specter of guilt and fear. His nights were filled with vivid nightmares where he was forced to relive that fateful day in the operating room. In these dreams, he stood before a ghostly version of the baby, its eyes piercing through him as it repeated that fateful accusation. Even in the harsh light of day, whenever he caught a glimpse of his own reflection, he could almost see a shadowy infant standing behind him, silently condemning him. Each encounter with this phantom presence chipped away at the steady veneer of professionalism he had so carefully maintained for decades. Amid these mounting disturbances, Nurse Maria Owens, a dedicated and observant member of the hospital staff, began to sense that there was more to the story than a mere medical anomaly. Her intuition, honed by years of patient care, urged her to take a closer look at the hospital records. Late one evening, while sifting through old files, she discovered something that made her blood run cold. A record from 2 decades ago detailed the delivery of a baby, one that had been declared a natural death due to complications during labor. The date, March 14th, matched the birth of Matthew, the baby whose presence now haunted the hospital halls. A careful review of the file revealed subtle irregularities, a smudged signature on the record of the late infant, an anomaly that was out of place in a document that should have been meticulously maintained. Driven by a determination to uncover the truth, Maria began a discreet investigation. She cross-referenced files, interviewed longtime staff members, and pieced together a narrative that pointed toward a hidden chapter in the hospital's history. It became increasingly apparent that the infant who had died 2 decades ago, born to a young mother named Sophia Grant, had not received the closure or acknowledgement that any human life deserved. Instead, in a desperate bid to protect reputations and avoid legal fallout, the hospital administration, along with Dr. Carter, had manipulated the records. The official story was that the baby had succumbed to natural complications, but the persistent anomalies in the documentation told a darker tale. As Maria delved deeper, the repercussions of that long-buried secret began to manifest in inexplicable ways. The hospital's corridors, once filled with the routine sounds of daily activity, now echoed with hushed murmurs and the soft creaks of unseen presences. Even the most skeptical members of the staff found themselves unsettled by the series of supernatural occurrences that had become part of their daily lives. In the neonatal care unit, where Matthew lay, every shift brought new accounts of strange noises, fleeting shadows, and the inexplicable sensation of being watched by an unseen entity. Some nurses refused to work the night shift, and others found themselves anxiously glancing over their shoulders, haunted by the persistent feeling that the truth was closing in. Dr. Carter's internal torment grew with each passing day. Every time he attempted to focus on his work or engage in a routine procedure, memories of that fateful day flooded back. In one particularly harrowing incident, while performing an ultrasound on a pregnant patient, Dr. Alexander Turner, a colleague known for his methodical precision, experienced a moment of sheer terror when a second ghostly face appeared on the screen. The image, unmistakably resembling Matthew, sent him reeling, and although he tried to dismiss it as a technical glitch, the incident only added to the growing chorus of inexplicable events within the hospital. The weight of these experiences eventually forced a confrontation that could no longer be postponed. Nurse Maria Owens, armed with the evidence of tampered records and the testimonies of her colleagues, approached Dr. Carter. In his office, where the sterile white walls suddenly felt oppressive and judgmental, Maria laid out the findings. The documents, the altered signatures, and the uncanny coincidence of dates all pointed to a devastating truth. 2 decades earlier, during a complicated delivery for Sophia Grant, Dr. Carter had made a fateful error. Overwhelmed by fear of the repercussions and desperate to shield himself from the ruin of his career, he had chosen to cover up the tragic loss, falsifying records to erase the evidence of what had truly happened. The confrontation was both a moment of reckoning and catharsis. Dr. Carter's initial reaction was one of denial, his voice trembling as he attempted to deflect the accusations. But as Maria's evidence grew irrefutable and the memories of that long-forgotten night surged forth, his defenses crumbled. The doctor's confession, uttered in a hushed tone laden with regret, revealed the depth of his internal conflict. "I was terrified," he admitted, his eyes downcast in shame. "In that moment, I made a choice I can never undo. I covered up the truth to protect my reputation, to avoid the unbearable consequences of admitting my mistake." The revelation sent shockwaves through the hospital. Staff members who had long suspected that something was amiss now faced the painful reality of a deception that had not only betrayed the trust of their patients, but had also allowed a restless soul to linger among them. The haunted silence that had once been confined to the neonatal unit began to spread, and whispers of the past intertwined with the present. For many, The incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of honesty and accountability in the face of overwhelming pressure. The eerie presence of Matthew, with those unsettlingly wise eyes, came to symbolize not only the ghost of a neglected tragedy but also the enduring power of truth. In the aftermath of the confession, the hospital administration was forced to confront the legacy of that long-hidden mistake. Internal investigations were launched, and the story of Sophia Grant's lost infant became a focal point of discussions on medical ethics and patient care. The repercussions were profound. Procedures were overhauled, and new protocols were introduced to ensure that no life would ever be so carelessly dismissed again. The incident became a catalyst for change, igniting conversations about the moral responsibilities of those who hold the power to heal, and the devastating consequences when that power is misused. For Dr. Carter, the journey that began with a single spine-chilling phrase uttered by a newborn had transformed into an odyssey of self-discovery and remorse. The ghostly manifestations that had tormented him day and night were not merely supernatural occurrences. They were the physical embodiment of his conscience, urging him to come to terms with the past. In the quiet moments of solitude, when the hospital's corridors were empty and the only sound was the steady hum of machinery, he would find himself alone with his memories, each one a reminder of the life he had lost and the trust he had betrayed. Even as the investigation deepened and the weight of the revelation settled over the entire hospital community, a glimmer of hope emerged from the darkness. Nurse Maria Owens, whose unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth had set this chain of events in motion, became a beacon for change. Her courage in speaking out not only helped to bring the hidden story to light but also underscored a vital lesson: that integrity, even when challenged by fear and uncertainty, remains the cornerstone of genuine healing. Through her determined efforts, the hospital began to mend the deep fissures of distrust and pain, paving the way for a future where transparency and compassion would lead the way. As the hospital community grappled with the fallout, many began to see the incident as a profound lesson in accountability, a reminder that every decision, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential, carries with it the potential for both healing and harm. The spectral presence of Matthew, far from being a mere ghostly anomaly, stood as a symbol of the unyielding force of truth. His silent gaze, once a harbinger of condemnation, gradually came to represent the possibility of redemption and the transformative power of admitting one's mistakes. In the ensuing weeks, changes were implemented not just in protocols but also in the hearts and minds of those who had once worked within the hospital's walls. Staff members, inspired by Maria's tenacity and the eventual confession of Dr. Carter, began to engage in more open discussions about ethical practices and the importance of accountability in medical care. Educational seminars were organized, highlighting the lessons learned from that harrowing chapter and emphasizing that true healing begins with acknowledging past wrongs and striving for better practices. Dr. Carter himself was forced to confront the long-term consequences of his actions. The haunting memories that had once tormented him relentlessly slowly gave way to a profound, if painful, sense of acceptance. His personal journey became a testament to the idea that while one cannot undo the past, it is possible to transform guilt into a drive for meaningful change. Every day, as he navigated the corridors of the hospital, a place now steeped in both sorrow and hope, he was reminded of the promise that honesty and responsibility bring, even in the wake of terrible mistakes. This chapter in the hospital's history, as painful as it was, ultimately sparked a renewal of purpose among its staff. The legacy of that tragic night, intertwined with the unyielding determination of individuals like Maria Owens, served as a constant reminder of the need to uphold the highest standards of care and integrity. It was a story that not only exposed the pitfalls of hiding the truth, but also illuminated the path toward a future defined by empathy, transparency, and a relentless pursuit of what is right. Through it all, the tale of Matthew, a baby whose first words carried the weight of a lifetime of hidden sorrow, became an enduring reminder that every life, no matter how small, deserves to be acknowledged and respected. His presence, both in the physical and metaphysical realms, challenged those who encountered him to look beyond the surface and to confront the moral complexities that define the practice of medicine. In the end, the courage to face one's past and the determination to forge a path toward genuine redemption became the true legacy of that unforgettable night. And so, within the hallowed halls of this storied institution, the echoes of that day continued to resonate, teaching every new generation of medical professionals that while mistakes may haunt us, it is our willingness to confront them head-on that ultimately shapes a future filled with hope, integrity, and true acts of kindness. As the final chapter of this journey unfolds, the echoes of that long-buried secret now serve as a guiding light for healing and redemption. In the aftermath of painful confessions and life-altering consequences, the hospital's halls, once shrouded in sorrow, have slowly begun to reflect a renewed commitment to truth and compassion. The legacy of that unforgettable night reminds us that every mistake carries the opportunity for growth, and that true healing comes when we dare to face our pasts and make amends. Dr. Jason Carter's confession, painful as it was, became the catalyst for a transformation that reached far beyond the sterile walls of the operating room. It ignited a conversation among the staff, a dialogue that demanded accountability and integrity, urging every medical professional to re-examine their own choices. In the days that followed, the courage of Nurse Maria Owens and the quiet determination of so many others led to the implementation of new protocols and ethical guidelines, ensuring that no life would ever be so carelessly dismissed again. Their relentless pursuit of justice and truth has reshaped the very foundation of the hospital, leaving a legacy that speaks to the healing power of honesty and the enduring strength of human compassion. In the neonatal care unit, where Matthew once lay silently, hope now takes a tangible form. The room, once filled with an oppressive chill, has been transformed into a space that honors both the fragility and the resilience of life. Every soft smile, every reassuring touch, and every whispered promise carries the weight of lessons learned, reminding us that the past, no matter how painful, does not define the future. Instead, it inspires us to build a community rooted in empathy, responsibility, and unwavering kindness. This story is more than a recounting of events. It's a heartfelt call to embrace the truth, however difficult it may be, and to use it as a foundation for building a better, more compassionate tomorrow. The journey from guilt to redemption, from despair to hope, underscores an essential truth. While mistakes can haunt us, the courage to acknowledge them and work towards change is what truly sets us free. If this story has touched your heart, if you feel inspired by the unwavering commitment to integrity and the transformative power of compassion, we invite you to join our community. Your support makes all the difference. Please take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and spread this message of hope and accountability far and wide. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, Acts of Kindness Stories New, as we aim to reach 10,000 subscribers. Together, we can create a ripple effect that inspires change, nurtures understanding, and reminds us all that every act of kindness has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey toward a brighter future, one where truth, redemption, and compassion lead the way.